Hi, welcome to art class. Today, we got a pretty cool lesson that we're going to do. We're actually going to be drawing some human faces today. So I'm going to show you sort of some tips and tricks on drawing a human face. And we're actually going to go for more of a realistic kind of style, which is challenging but fun, and it's a good thing to learn. So I hope you're excited about that. So let me put up my other monitor here. So our learning target is we're going to draw a human face. Hang on, let me get my picture up here too. There we go. Hi. So you're going to draw a human face using something called proportions. All right. Now, proportions means basically like everything is the right size and shape together. Okay, so we'll dive into that a little bit, what proportions means and how to do that. And there's some examples here. Right here, this is showing the basics of how to draw the face. We start with a circle and draw the jawline. And then we draw some lines through it to show us where everything is. And I'll kind of walk you through that. This up here is a good example of how to just use some light shading. They didn't even do much with this one. As you can see, it is mostly just white, but they added a little bit of shading here and there. And we'll walk through how to do that too. This is also a good example for hair, using shapes to make the hair. And then I got a little close-up eye here for you. So don't be intimidated by this. If you feel like this is a challenging lesson, that's okay. It's okay to try something that's a little challenging. In fact, I would say it's good. It's a good thing to do. And even if it doesn't turn out great, that's fine. I mean, your first couple faces you draw might not turn out great. They might be awesome. Who knows? But you got to try. And even if it doesn't turn out great, it's just practice. That's, each one that you make, you're going to get a little bit better. So let me aim my camera down here so you can see my paper. Hang on, this is always tricky. You can do better than that. Okay, now you can see my paper. Okay, so let's talk about drawing a face. Oh, and I gotta flip this so it'll be the right way. There we go. Okay. Wait, still not correct. Oh, I flipped the wrong one. That's what happened. Okay. So here's my paper. You're definitely going to want a pencil for this one. Usually I say use whatever you want. If you don't have a pencil, that's okay. You can use something else. But a pencil is important because you've got that eraser, and we're going to do lots of kind of sketching and erasing things later. We're going to draw in some shapes just as a guide. So the first thing I do, I'm going to draw a circle. And I'm not just going one go because it's not going to be good if I do that. I'm kind of drawing with little lines so that if it gets a little off, I can correct it. I'm just drawing really lightly. Like maybe I made it a little too big over this way. So I'll kind of try again this way and make it a little smaller till I get it how I want, right? So just use those sketchy lines to get it around the area that you want. Erase any kind of extras. And don't draw too hard because we're going to erase this later. Okay? And then we draw a jawline. So you're going to start here and here. And if I'm going too fast, you can pause this video and take as much time as you need. So the jawline is going to come down a little bit and then toward the middle. And there's, everyone has a different kind of jawline. Some people's it comes out more. Some is more round. Some more squarish. The chin, everyone's got a different chin. A more feminine looking chin would be a little pointier. A more masculine looking chin would be kind of wider, right? Or anything in between. It doesn't matter. All different kind of people have all different kinds of faces and chins, is my point. So we've got a circle for the head. And then I've drawn like a little jawline, okay? The jawline typically comes down, in, and then flatten out a little bit for the chin, unless you got a really pointy chin. So here's what I'm going to do next. From the top to the bottom, as close to the middle as you can, just draw a straight line that goes down, okay? And then you're going to try to find the middle of this whole shape. Not just the circle, but like the middle of here. I would say it's about, for me, about right here. That's about the middle, okay? Draw a line across there through the middle. So like this right here and this here should be about the same. I see that this one's a little shorter. So I'm going to move my line, try to get it closer to the middle. if I put it about here, yeah, this line and this line, they're about the same here. And that's how I know it's the middle, okay? So this is the most important part, is this cross, getting that right in the middle, because that shows us where to put stuff. So this is the basic, thing we've got. We started with the circle, the jaw line, and then lines in the middle, both directions. And this is how you're going to start any person. You could also go in and add, if you want to, at this point, like the neck lines coming out, and then like shoulders coming down. It's not super important for what we're doing, but if it helps, it helps. Okay, so we're gonna sketch out where the eyes are, where the nose is, where the mouth is. We're not gonna go into super detail just yet. We're just gonna sketch out where they are. So a lot of times people draw the eyes at the top of the head, but believe it or not, they're actually directly in the middle of your head. If you even, if you don't believe me, use your fingers to measure from your chin to your eyes, all right? And then bring that all the way back up, and that's going to be the same distance to the top of your head. This is all mostly going to be hair up here. Our hair comes down like all the way to here, so then our eyes are underneath that, okay? So this line shows us where the eyes are. And let's look at our images here. This one on the right is to show you the proportions, meaning the size and shape of everything. So you could see this is like what we drew. She's got a more round chin than mine. The eyes are right underneath there, okay? Right underneath that middle line we made. So I'm just going to make a basic space for where the eyes are, just kind of this football almond type shape. And this is where we're talking about proportions, right? It means that the eyes are the right size for the head. Like, if I make the eyes huge, it's going to look like a cartoon character. If I make them too small, it'll look kind of funny. So this is your chance to play with the size by just sketching until it looks okay before actually committing. You don't want to draw the little details just yet. That's why we're just sketching and try to get it so that it looks like something kind of normal, okay? Then we're going to look at the nose. I typically put the nose, you see where the bottom of this circle is right here? We made this circle for the head. The bottom of that is generally where the nose comes down, at the bottom of the nose. And everyone's got different noses, but I just kind of put a line here and maybe like lines going up to show where the nose will be. And then the mouth will be kind of in the middle of the nose and the chin. And depending on what kind of mouth you have, it could be wide, it could be smaller. But it's not just a straight line. It really does have some shape to it. Like, usually a mouth and lips are bigger than we tend to draw them. This might be a little too big. Sometimes I like to draw like the top lip and then the bottom lip. And you can just adjust. This doesn't have to be a picture of you. If you're first learning, just draw some random people, I would say. If you try to draw somebody you know, or you know how they look, like yourself, it might end up looking weird because you know what you look like so much that you look at your picture and you're like, that looks a little off, right? So I would suggest just drawing make up your own people for a little while. All right, so I'm going to walk through what we just did. We made a circle for the head, and then we made a jaw line on it, right? And then we drew a cross coming through straight in the middle as much as we could. That helped me see to put the eyes right here under this line. I could kind of see where to put the nose at the bottom of this circle, and then the mouth in between there. All right? And this is the basic form of the face. And from here on out, we just go into details. Okay, so you can erase some extra lines that you don't want at this point. Kind of get rid of my cross lines and these lines that help me to see where some things were, right? And we'll make this into a person. Let's start with eyes. I put a nice picture of an eye here so that you could see the method for drawing an eye. I'll have to zoom in to show you one here. All right, so there's a lot of different sizes and shapes of eyes, just like there is with everything else. But I'm going to just make kind of a basic eye here. It's going to go up and then down, right? Simple as that, up and down. And try to do them both kind of together so that they look the same, right? You want the eyes to look the same. This shape can change depending on the person. And then the bottom part is going to come down, straight, and then up. I may have made my eyes a little too big on my person. I'm not sure. I can always adjust it or just be okay with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It looks a little creepy right now, but we'll get there. I'm going to draw an eyelid coming across like this. See that eyelid there? And then, so the pupil of the eye, here's a tip for you. Make it touching the top a little bit. Make it so that you can't see the whole circle. You see how I did that? I started here. If you can see the whole circle in the eye, look at this. It makes it look like you got big, crazy eyes, right? Like if you can see it like that, it's like your eyes are really wide. So make it touching the top a little bit. Mine might be touching the top so much that my person looks kind of sleepy. That's okay though. And, you know, I'll adjust it as I go. I can like erase things and just adjust them and nitpick at it a little bit. So, you know, you see we've got these eyelids and we've got the eye. You can kind of draw this middle part in here. That's just a little detail, this little kind of line over here, right? And then the pupil has the black part, which is, well, that's the, I believe that's the pupil. Yep, the black part's the pupil. I'm going to actually draw another circle, and that part I'm going to leave white. It'll be like a little reflection. That's just a little extra detail. Leave a little circle in there with just white. So I'll color the pupil black, except for my little white reflection part. And then this part, the iris, I believe, you can just kind of lightly and heavily, there are lots of little lines coming out. You see that? You just kind of gently brush it and put a few darker lines in there and give that a nice, interesting look. So there's some eyes. You can even do a little bit of shading if you want. Even though the eyes are white, you can start with some light going to dark on the edges. It makes it look a little round. Not a lot, like the lightest gray you could possibly do around the edges will give it kind of a round look. So those are some eyes. Mine aren't perfect, but that's fine. I'm just practicing. Eyebrows, there's a million different types of eyebrow shapes. You can practice, you know, play around with different shapes for the eyebrows, bigger ones, smaller ones, square ones, round ones. Just try to make them the same. All right? Try to make them at least the same. And then you can kind of just shade that in however you like. It's good if it's not all one tone. Like if it's kind of dark and then it gets a little lighter, right? Or like maybe dark on the bottom and light on the top. I don't know. Lots of ways to do it. I'm not here to just tell you exactly how to do something. I'm just giving you some tips so you can find out how you like to do it. So there's some eyebrows. They look a little strange. I'll probably come back to it later. But they're there. I probably should have sketched them a little more first before I committed to it. Get some bushy eyebrows. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Got some eyes and some eyebrows. Now, let's move on to a nose. I've got to say, the nose is the hardest part, and we tend to overthink the nose, okay? That's why I really like this picture right here, because you see that basic shape? We've got the two side parts, and then we've got the nostrils and the tip. That's all you really need to draw, okay? Let me show you what that's going to look like. So I've kind of marked out where my nose is. I'm just going to mark out, here's the side of the nose. Here's like, this is how wide and tall this part is, right? And then I'm going to just do a little bump for the front of the nose. This could be shorter and pointier. It could be wider and rounder, right? And then two little nostrils. Don't make the nostrils big. Make them pretty small, just like that. So we've got the sides of the nose, the front little bumpy thing. I know there's a name for it. I just don't know. And then two little nostrils. Don't get too carried away with the nostrils. And the rest we just do a shading, or you can just leave it like that. Like that's really all you need. And we can kind of imagine the rest. All right? Sometimes I'll draw a little line here to show the front of the nose too. That looks pretty good. All right? That's all you got to do. All right? So let's look at a mouth. Here we go. There's millions of different types of mouths, just as there is everything else. But the important part is there's two lips. And they're not straight. They're not straight lines. Like typically, You're looking at those lips, and I'll show you how I'll draw it. Typically, the bottom lip is going to come down quite a bit on the sides and then kind of level off in the bottom. You see that? And then we'll draw the top lip, okay? I'm just drawing the bottom part of that. And the top lip has a shape, right? Everyone's is different, but they typically kind of come up a little and then maybe down a little like this, right? And that's maybe a little too much for me, so I'll adjust it. But you know, that top lip, everyone's got a unique shape. And then the very top of it, give yourself some space here when you're drawing it. Make it big, a little bigger than you think. They come up, and then have like this little dip at the top. You see that? That's kind of the shape of some lips. And we'll make that look a little better with shading in a little bit. But that's the basics of it. And you can like erase and adjust things like, well, I want these lips to be a little thinner here, a little thicker here. You can just change it to your heart's delight. That's the beauty of sketching, okay? So those are the basic like facial pieces. Now we can do some hair. Let me zoom out a little bit. The key, and once again, if I'm moving too fast, feel free to pause and slow down. But yeah, I just want to give you as much info as I can, help you out. The hair, I'm going to think about the hair like shapes, okay? So instead of drawing, let's do some examples on the back. Here's our head. I'm just going to do a quick little thing here, okay? So here's our head. This is just a quick sketch so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so the hair, I don't want to just draw a bunch of lines because it's going to look like a crazy spaghetti monster, right? The lines will be part of like the shading later. We want to think about the hair in shapes. And if you want to look in the mirror to see what shapes your hair has, that's okay. Look at these two here. This guy's hair has, I see 3 shapes. The front part is this, like this kind of shape, and each side part has its own shape. Boom, boom, boom. Her hair, I see 2 shapes. The bangs come over here, and then this part comes back like this. Oh, and then she's maybe got like a ponytail here. All right, so think about what shapes you want for your person's hair. So this one, let's see. I'll start with the front. This person's hair is going to come over like this. I'm going to give him some fun hair. Comes over this way. I'll put a part here, and then it's going to like kind of come back. And I'm just like erasing and adjusting if it doesn't look right. And I'll add a shape here too. So it's got the side part. This part comes over and goes up, and this is going to be like kind of wild over here. And then side piece here. So let me like outline and show you the shapes I came up with. Here's a shape. That's the one. Okay. Second shape, this wild thing here. Third shape down here. All right. So I'm going to work with that. I'll give it a little texture or whatever. You know, I'll make it like this person's just going to have some kind of fuzzy, messy hair. That's their style. So I got the basic shapes, but you know, I can add kind of little hairy textures or different pieces coming out. This is almost like anime looking, even though I was going for realistic. I got some wild, like weird anime hair, but that's fine. It's my drawing. Okay. Looks interesting. This person looks like they need a haircut. That's okay. We all need a haircut sometimes. Cool. I dig it. All right. So that's like the basic drawing parts of it. And what I'm going to do from here on out, I'm just going to be shading. And adjusting too. Like I think maybe the head's a little too wide. So maybe I'll adjust it in a little bit. I want them to have like a wide or a little kind of thinner build here. And I'll adjust the hair. See that? I just made my person's face a little thinner. I could bring the jawline in a little bit. You know, I usually have like an adjusting phase. That looks a little more normal now. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. And yeah, so at this point, I'm going to get into some shading. And if you haven't caught up to this point, that's okay. You get as far as you can with this, and don't worry about the rest. Or you can just do it another day or whatever. It's fine. So I'm going to be shading. We've done a lot of practice with shading this year. A lot of like, you know, maybe on the back you could do, or on a different paper, a little practice to get yourself acquainted. Just you could do value scales, going dark to light. Maybe you could make like a circle and try to shade it to look like a sphere. Get your shading, get your shading feel ready. Do whatever you got to do. If you feel like you're ready to jump into it, go for it. The trick here is going to be really light shading. We don't need to do too much right now. Everybody's got kind of a cheekbones here, and they're all different shapes, but I'm going to draw a few little lines here to show cheekbones because we'll have some shadows under there. And I want to look over at this picture. Okay. So there's a few parts. There's actually a lot of parts that we have shading here. Let's let me try to readjust. Hang on. I'm going to make it so that you can see both. Okay, so I put this here and my person here. All right, perfect. So what do I see when I look at those and think about where do I need to shade? Above the eyes, I see some shadows here above the eyes, in between the eye and the eyebrow. So just very lightly, like as light as you can, putting some shadow there. This is just like my lightest tone. That's it. You can barely see it. You can always go darker. In fact, you can even erase and you can go lighter if you need to. But it's good to just start light and get darker a little later. Okay? And just don't be afraid to shade it. Just go for it. Let's go for the nose. Okay? My nose. I'm going to start shading the bottom of the nose. And I'm kind of following the shape of it here. Just kind of maybe there's a little more shadow on the bottom of the nose. Just lightly going. Maybe bring a little shadow up the sides and smooth it out. You can use your finger to smooth it or whatever you want. See, just a little shadows there. Maybe the round part of the nose could have some shadow. And then maybe like coming up one side here, a little bit of shading. And just blend it nicely. I like to put a little bit of shadow underneath the eye too. Not too much, just a little, just to show depth. See how I did that? Very lightly, slowly over time, building it up, okay? The cheekbone's going to have a little shadow from the side coming in. And this is just like, once again, the lightest shading I could possibly do. It doesn't need to be super crazy. Super light shading. Okay? And then I've got a little shadow under the bottom lip down here. I'm going to make it really dark right under and then kind of fade it out. All right, I've got some shading there. Maybe down the jaw too, if you want to. Okay, and I'm going to go back at later and kind of smooth it all out and make it look good. Usually I will shade the top lip darker and the bottom lip lighter. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of shading on the top lip here, like that. But then the bottom lip, just the teeniest bit on the very bottom. I'm like, the bottom lip is kind of catching the light, and then the top lip has the shadow. See that? I can even add a little more shadow. I can go a little darker there on the top lip. Gives it kind of some depth and some 3D quality. See how those lips kind of came alive? I did a little shading on the top lip and then just the teeniest bit on the bottom of the bottom lip. Okay? So we got some good shading going on. Maybe I'll shade under the neck if I want to. You could try different things and look at different pictures too, to just get some ideas of how to shade it. Okay? And if I'm shading the hair, this is when I might start to use some interesting lines to actually make it look like hair, right? Like maybe I'm going dark and light with the crazy. Maybe I'm being a little more scribbly with it, and that's going to give it a texture. You see that? But you still want to kind of see some dark and light. So I'll be like, here's the dark part. It's getting lighter over there. Even though it's scribbly, it's still kind of showing me the depth and showing me some information here. So I'll have the light kind of catching the hair on the front. So it's darker in the back, and it's getting a little lighter in the front. As long as I kind of stick to those shapes, maybe help emphasize the shapes a little bit. Okay, good enough for now. colored the hair a little bit. Maybe we'll put a little detail here so we can see what's going on with this crazy hair. Maybe it's darker under here. Okay. So I got a little shading on the hair, and I'm thinking, like, since his hair is going over his face, that maybe I'll put a little shadow under that, right? Wherever something's like hanging over, you're gonna get a shadow under there. Okay, there's my person, and just basically at this point, I'm just gonna go in and say, if you're looking at your drawing and you're like, this looks so weird, that's okay. That's part of it, is just to say, this part looks weird. How can I fix it, right? So I'm just going to be going in and fixing. It's kind of a strange looking person, but I don't know. It's an interesting drawing, good practice. I might find some parts that might need to be darker. I might say, what parts do I need to make stand out a little more? Maybe make the eyes stand out more, right? Maybe this jawline, I need to kind of blend it a little more. And maybe have some shading up here. Just add things here and there. Maybe I can fix these eyebrows up a little bit. This hair is a little confused over here. It doesn't really know what it's doing, but that's okay. I guess that's kind of just what it's doing. Okay, I'll give him a shirt. That's cool. That's a person. So just some tips for you there. Sometimes I like to smooth it out. Don't go overboard. Like, you still want to see your white spaces. Don't like cover up all the lightest parts, but you can just go in and smooth that right on out with your finger, or you can roll up a piece of paper to smooth it. Look at that. Look at what kind of effect that just had. Just that 1 second of like smudging it all together. It's nice, right? I can help define the jaw with a shadow. Can't really see the jaw too well, so I'll add a shadow under to show us. Right? It's not bad. Not bad. So, just keep practicing. This isn't meant to be easy on your first try. I just wanted to show you this stuff to get you started if you haven't started drawing like this, or probably had some questions about it. So, try your best. Don't get discouraged if it's not perfect. If it is perfect, you should feel really proud of yourself, because it's hard. I'm going to add eyelashes. I forgot to add some eyelashes. It's just a nice little touch. Everybody has eyelashes. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay. So hopefully you got some tips. I know this is a lot of information today. Just get what you can out of it. I do not expect you to be making a perfect picture or even necessarily following every single thing I said today. But if you got something out of it, if you learned how to make an eye a little better, you got some practice with shading, you learned how big everything should be on a face, that's great. And if you want to get better at it, go draw 5 more and then see how good you are. And then go draw 10 more and see how good you are. And then go draw 100 faces. And then show me how good you are, because I want to see that. All right? So, yeah, I hope you had fun. I hope you learned a lot. This was fun for me. It's fun to go back to these things. I don't always draw like this, so it's nice to kind of re-explore this stuff. Take care, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.